the Northeast and New England and the Mid-Atlantic, and we're going to start with what is active right now, and we have some winter storm advisories and warnings and watches posted. This is for Winter Storm Fortis. Remember, you can follow #Fortis on social media. It's got a lot of impacts, and so you can track that all in your area. But there you go, the winter storm warning's already up in the darker blue. That's indicating where we may be seeing some of the heaviest snowfall too, so a lot of impactful weather, which is why we named the storm. So taking a look at the criteria, 2 million people affected, that's checked, and or 400,000 square kilometers of area covered and or expected to go under National Weather Service storm warning. So a lot goes into naming a storm, and of course the level of impact is all part of it. And this one's going to be impactful, especially considering the timing, right? So many of us are off of work, making plans for the weekend. Well, this is going to be a bit of a mess. So we have an upper level disturbance diving off to the south. Strong upper level winds, still relatively warm Gulf Stream, right? So that's going to add power to a developing area of low pressure off the coast. That's going to help pull in Atlantic moisture. On the other side, pull down some colder air. A lot of wind with this, and just enough cold air and enough moisture that you've got a good amount of snow in the forecast. Definitely very gusty along the coast, and not just for a couple of hours. We think this is going to be prolonged, so certainly enough to do a little damage. So by tonight, we start to see some of the moisture come in. By tomorrow, it changes over to snow in some places. Pittsburgh heads up, Binghamton up towards the Adirondacks. By Thursday night, we're talking interior New England, but notice along the coast, maybe some of that starting off as rain, finishing up as snow. And then by Friday, we have not only the snow continuing, but the lake effect that will be kicking in. And it is going to add up quite a bit in a few places, especially those higher elevations, especially interior. 18 to 24 inches of snowfall in parts of New Hampshire and interior Maine, which again is great for the ski resorts, but if you're traveling, maybe not so much. Boston, what a forecast this is for you. Look at that outer rim there. 495 is sort of that cutoff. As you head off to the west, places like Worcester, maybe in that 1 to 3. But you go up towards the Berkshires and you're talking maybe half a foot or more in most of those areas. Looking at places like Maine, off to the west of I-95, a foot to a foot and a half. Again, Sugarloaf looking good for this. Have tens of thousands, millions of people outside at midnight awaiting to welcome in to 2017. The weather may not be so welcoming in places, so we want to give you the heads up. Let's start with Saturday and the wide view, and we have some showers and thunderstorms. There you go, New Orleans, possible wet end to 2016, a stormy start to 2017. New York, we're looking good so far, just going to keep a slight chance at this point, but it is going to be chilly, temps into the 30s. Meanwhile, across parts of the west, Phoenix at 62, Seattle 39, and showers for you on Saturday. Let's go region by region, and at this point on Saturday, we're still looking at snow, accumulating snow, so a little bit of a rough go in parts of New York State, especially if you're heading northbound towards the Adirondacks as far as travel goes. But again, if you're sitting tight and doing some vacation and snowmobiling, fabulous. I-95 corridor looking pretty good at this point from Boston through Providence down to Philly and D.C. It will be dry. Looking at New York, Saturday night, there you go, cloudy skies for the most part, temps right about 40, so not bone chilling, but I'll tell you, if you're standing outside for a couple of hours in 40-degree weather, gotta bundle up. Let's head to the southeast where they dropped the peach in Atlanta. We're calling for clouds right now on Saturday, holding off on some of those showers, but not so much for New Orleans and Memphis, Nashville. They dropped the big musical note, I believe, at midnight. There you go, New Orleans showers. Keep the umbrellas handy if you are headed out, but relatively speaking, mild, right? Into the mid to low 60s there by midnight. We go to the Midwest, and temps are cold in Minneapolis, 25, Chicago, 40 degrees. The snow will be held through northern Michigan, the UP of Michigan. Some rain on the south side there. Chicago, we're going with fair skies, but cold temperatures staying into the 20s through the evening. So definitely bundle up there. We head to the west on Saturday, and Los Angeles looking at some rain. We've got some snow in through the Four Corners, and along the 5, if you're heading eastbound through the higher elevations, it's snow. To the west, the coastal range, it will be rain. It is just fascinating, all that goes into all of that. So we want to give you the best heads up that we can based on the weather, where we may be looking at some potential delays related to the weather tomorrow. You know, each airport sort of has an Achilles heel. What kind of weather may slow them down the most? New York, LaGuardia. it's, I mean, basically anything can slow down traffic at LaGuardia. So we'll say some with a chance of showers. Boston could be a little bit of wind. Wind is always sort of that hurdle that's tough to cross there for airports. It's very impactful. Atlanta, we'll keep an eye on you, and Seattle with those late day showers, they got it down. We think we're good to go, but we, of course, we'll keep an eye on that for you tomorrow at SeaTac. All right, tomorrow across the country, it is definitely the roadways, interior Northeast, along the Great Lakes too, where we have the snow, the lake effect. That's going to have a big impact on travel. Down 95, it's rain and storms, but through the midsection, we're in great shape. Denver to Bismarck, even Phoenix looking at 74 degrees and some sunshine. So as far as travel goes there, we're in great shape. But again, the roadways, I-90, the Massachusetts Turnpike, the New York State Thruway, Garden State Parkway, I-95, the PA Turnpike. Watch for all the different weather changes through the day as our storm system ramps up and moves off to the east. Across parts of the southeast, it's I-95, I-10, and I-20 in the southeast. As you head west, it gets better towards Dallas in good shape, and even down towards Houston in fine shape. Midwest tomorrow, definitely the snow. Action in New York today. In fact, at Yankee Stadium, we have the Pittsburgh Panthers against the Northwestern Wildcats. And as far as football weather goes in New York, you can't get much better, right? 40s, sunshine, light winds. We're in great shape as far as game weather. We head to Orlando today for the Camping World Stadium for Russell Athletic Bowl. Kickoff at 5:30. You have the Mountaineers against the Hurricanes. Temps, beautiful Florida weather, up near 80 degrees with some sunshine, so also in great shape. We head to Santa Clara, California. Kickoff today at 5:30 Pacific time with the Utes against the Hoosiers for the Foster Farm Bowl. Here too, fine weather, fair skies later on this evening. Temperatures dropping into the 40s, so wrapping up the game a little bit cool, but winds will be light, so we've got that going for us. And Houston today with all the fog issues, by later kickoff, looking great. Exactly what we're dealing with, because Winter Storm Fortis is going to be developing. And remember, hashtag Fortis on social media, help you follow all the impacts where you are and the updates on Twitter and Facebook. But Boston, for you, the wind and the rain really start to kind of kick in here by tomorrow. By tomorrow night, our temperatures dropping into the 30s. It may end as a little bit of snow, but it's basically off to the west of Boston that you're going to have some of the more impactful snow. But look at the cold too, taking a hit in the temperature department with a high of just 40 on Friday. So here's what we're looking at as far as advisories and warnings. In this shade, you have the winter storm warnings, includes Montpelier, Worcester, also just to the west of Portland. Other areas under the advisories, some may get those watches upgraded into warnings or advisories. Here's the setup: an upper level disturbance diving off to the southeast. You have very strong jet stream winds. That adds power to the upper levels here and can really enhance a storm that's developing. And that's what we expect here, along with the nice toasty warm waters of the Gulf and the ocean. That's going to add a little power to our developing coastal low. All the while, it is pulling in that Atlantic moisture, so that's going to help with the accumulations of the snow, really kind of make them pretty robust in a lot of areas. Along with that, some very gusty winds along the coast, not just for an hour or two, but this is going to be a prolonged, so we'll watch for that impact too. By tonight, some of that snow, watch the PA Turnpike, because you're going from snow, say, outside of Philly to a changeover and a little bit of mix there as you head towards Pittsburgh. By tomorrow, the snow going full force here from Binghamton to Burlington. Thursday night into interior Maine. Down East Maine looks like rain and snow, a little bit of a change over there, but definitely the wind. And then by Friday, still lingering with some of those snow showers. And that prolonged period is really going to add up to some pretty impressive totals. In fact, we're looking at spots in portions of New Hampshire, more than 2 feet of snow. Again, great news for the ski resort. Blow snow, you might as well do it as a T-Rex, right? Because it's going to be that much better, I think. Good stuff. All right, let's get you updated on the winter weather across the country. A lot to get to, and plenty of snow on the ground too. This is a look at the current snow depth, and no surprise, it's the northern tier across parts of the west, the Sierra Nevada, the Rockies. Looking at the most snow on the ground, we are snowless from say Kansas, Oklahoma, down to Texas, over even into the Ohio Valley. So Chicago, no snow on the ground right now. The key question is, will we be getting some? And we do have a couple of systems that we'll be watching over the next few days, brushing some areas with some snow, walloping others. But a good view, I always think, is the water vapor imagery to kind of show you how the atmosphere is moving. And you see, for the most part, it doesn't look like anything's digging down, at least just yet. The winds are moving very quickly. We do have an area of low pressure, upper level disturbance that will be diving off to the southeast southeast, but the big weather maker is yet to develop. It's yet to be on the weather map. That's going to change as we get in through the later part of this week. Our coastal low develop. It will strengthen very rapidly, and that's going to kick up the winds big time, but also tap into all of that Atlantic moisture. And where it is cold enough, right? It's not bitter cold, but cold enough for snow. It is going to be dumping snow, and a lot of places will be picking up quite a bit. But yes, also concerned about the gusty winds, especially along the coast. So all of those interests, you know who you are. This is something to watch. And it's not just a few hours. This is going to be a prolonged enough that we'll have to watch for the threat of some power outages. We already have some winter storm warnings posted. We have watches up as well, along with the advisories for good reason. Let's take you through the next 24 hours. You see, there's our main system bringing that first batch of snow, but then boom, you have our coastal system developing by tomorrow evening, rapidly intensifying. You see all the lines coming together. That's the wind factor, and it'll continue to roll up into the Canadian Maritimes as we get into Friday. Behind it, tapping into some colder air, drier air, but not frigid. Again, it's going to be cold enough. This is not sort of your blockbuster nor'easter where you're going to see temperatures down into the single digits. It's not going to happen, but you do have enough to produce a good amount of snow in places like 18 to 24 inches in parts of New England. Hey, as we know it today. All right, let's talk temperatures in places like North Dakota, South Dakota. Temps into the 20s right now. Again, you're thinking, okay, that's chilly, but really by late December, early January standards, it's not quite the Arctic just yet. It is cooler to the north. To the south, a whole different story. It is quite mild. It is muggy, actually, in a lot of places. But even where it is colder to the north, what you're looking at here, all that red, that is still above average. So even when we're bringing some of that colder air down, it's not as cold as it is compared to average. With that said, it'll be a little bit of a change up as we wrap up 2016 and welcome 2017 in a lot of places. Minneapolis, a great example. Average high into the 20s, and you see through the weekend above average, and then we take a hit as we get into next week. Temperatures down into the single digits for high temperatures. So there is some Arctic air available. We'll get into some of it. Here's sort of that polar view, and you see the white kind of wobbling down. That trough and that dip is going to happen, and where it sets up, that's where we're going to see it for that first week of January. It's really the west of the Mississippi where you have the best chance to see